Now, the second objection is that now that we know the laws of nature, miracles are impossible. But that involves a further fallacy. Suppose I put $1,000 tonight in my hotel room in Cambridge, and I put $1,000 in tomorrow night. 1 + 1 = 2, that's $2,000. And on the third day, I open the drawer and I find $500. Now, what do I say? Do I say the laws of arithmetic have been broken, or the laws of the United States have been broken? Well, you obviously got the point. But see how important it is. First of all, it's telling you that law means a different thing in both cases, in each case. Secondly, how do you know the laws of the United States have been broken? It's because you know the law of arithmetic. If you didn't know that, you wouldn't know the other. Now, you see, it's not the laws of arithmetic have been broken, but what they tell you is that somebody has put their hand into the drawer. That is, something has come in from outside the system because it wasn't a closed system. This is crucial. You see, I believe in the laws of nature. Indeed, God, who's responsible for them, created an orderly universe. Otherwise, as I said before, we'd never recognize an exception. But God is not a prisoner of the laws. They're not like the laws of the United States. God, who set the regularities there, can himself cause an event. Of course he can. What's to stop him doing that? You see, what Christians are claiming about the resurrection of Jesus is not that he rose by some natural processes. No, they say that he rose because God injected enormous power and energy from outside the system. Now, unless you have evidence that the system is totally causally closed, you cannot argue against the possibility of miracles. So now you have to come, and that was far too brief, but I want to give you plenty of time for questions. Now we need to come to the actuality. Is there evidence anywhere that a miracle of this order has occurred? And of course, as you know, Christianity is based on the claim that Jesus Christ came alive from the dead. How do you get at a thing like that? Of course it's a singularity. Of course it is highly improbable. Observations of all the graves, if you were to take people from Harvard and set them in the graveyards to watch for a month and write in their book whether they saw a resurrection or not, you could scientifically show by statistical methods that resurrections are very improbable in the Harvard area. But unless you've investigated every grave back to the beginning of the universe, you cannot say they're impossible. Singular events are by definition improbable. But the question is there actual evidence that it happened? The claim is it did. What are the facts? There is an empty tomb. How do we know? And then I would have to take you into the specifics of the evidence. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, although I'd absolutely love to do that, I'd have to come back to do it, but I've got a little bit of a sop in that direction. This question, I'm so glad that you asked me this question, because I find it all over the world the same, because it's vastly important to realize that this is not knocking science in any sense. It's recognizing the limits of science. So what I decided to do was this. I decided to read through David Hume in great detail, look at his criteria for evidence and witnesses, and then take the resurrection of Jesus and put it under the magnifying glass from the perspective of David Hume. And here's another shameless bit of advertising. I've just produced a book on it, which is called Gunning for God. And it deals with that question, and I hope that those of you who want to pursue it that far will be able to read it. Now, my final point is this. Of course, science and history are not the only sources of evidence for the existence of God, miracle, and the supernatural. Personal experience is enormously important. And it's even important to a professor who's interested in intellectual things. Because one of the prime evidences to me that these things are real is my personal experience over many years of the living reality of Christ in my life. If he's risen from the dead, of course, it means he's alive, and that opens up an enormous possibility of having a relationship with him. So that too would be a very important thing to explore. I started by reminding you of Harvard's motto, Veritas. But you know, that's not what it used to be. And I was delighted to see it's still on one of your main buildings. Harvard's motto was, and still is, Veritas Christo et Ecclesiae, truth for Christ and the church. I would suggest to you, Harvard students and professors, the time has come to revisit the original meaning. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
For more information about the Veritas Forum, including additional recordings and a calendar of upcoming events, please visit our website at veritas.org.